Good evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Bruce Katz. A tornado warning in effect now for parts of St. Tammany Parish. As we show you what's happening on Viper, let's take it full very quickly, and I'll zoom in for you, and you can see this area. I'll stop it in the purple. This is the tornado warning that we're watching as of right now. So as we go into the base velocity, I want to show you that as of right now, we're seeing a little bit of possible rotation. As we come on back on camera, we can show you what we're looking at. This is the area that we're watching right now. So some of that red and also the green coming in, the tornado warning in effect until 9:30 this evening. Right now it's 8:42. We are going to be monitoring this very, very closely. So once again, as we put this into motion, we're going to continue to see these strong storms developing over the next several hours. In fact, all day long, we have seen these storms that have been over the Mississippi and Alabama Gulf Coast dropping anywhere from 6 inches to a foot of rain. This has been an all-day situation for them, and we've been in the clear. We've been mostly dry, lots of sunshine, but now we're beginning to see some of these storms that are developing and moving in from the north. And in fact, during the 5 o'clock newscast, we were talking about, I was showing you a model saying that anywhere between, say, 8:30 and 9 through about midnight, we could see some very strong storms developing, and right now, that does seem to come to fruition. So once again, we are looking at that tornado warning in effect as we take a look just to the south of Picayune at this point, and it looks as though it is moving southeast at about 8 to 15. So I'll stop this for you, and as you can see, once again, we are looking at that storm just to the west of Kiln. So you're not in it at this point. Right now, you're looking pretty good. Let's go back full screen now so we can actually show you what's going on. And as you'll notice, we are seeing that warning in effect, and we go back to the velocity, and we are seeing possibly some areas just to the west near Hickory. Now, this area of red here by the arrow, that is some of the feedback from Slidell. So this is not far from the actual radar site, but we have indicated closer in some areas right here within the yellow, within the reds rather, and green for the potential of some of that development. So as far as the velocity is concerned, all the red to the west, that's all feedback from the actual radar, but this is what we're looking at this point. So again, we're looking at reflectivity. This is the actual radar itself, and as I put that back into motion, these storms have been developing from the north and west down to the southeast, and as they continue to move in, more and more storms will be developing tonight. So just to give you a heads up, this is going to be a dangerous situation that we're looking at. Now let's stop it here and see if we have any of the potential of hail. So as we come on back to the map, we can show you basically the shear path and hail has really not shown a whole lot. In fact, the hail path, well, on average with these storms earlier, we saw basically pea-sized to nickel-sized hail. Now, these are kind of contaminated now with that storm because this was a hail tracker that was a bit earlier, and as we show you the hail as of right now, we're really not seeing a whole lot. There's a little bit of a blip on the southeastern end of where that system is moving. So, of course, this does have the potential of some hail, strong and very gusty winds, and the potential, of course, of damaging winds. Now, as far as that velocity is concerned, we are beginning to see some of this rotation picking up just a bit. Let's come back to the map now, and also if you can put me back on camera, we'll basically show you that the areas here, right near I-59, these are the situations that we're watching for the threat of winds coming to and from the radar. So in red, this is winds going away from the radar, and to the radar is in green. So that indicates that we have some potential of rotation in the area of just to the south of Picayune, Pearl River, you're out of it. So at this point, you don't have to worry. Very rural area here. Now here's Stennis Space Center. So this is kind of moving in that trajectory. So if you live in and around that part of, say, off of I-310 or areas of, or 510 rather, coming in toward Chalmette, toward those areas, you may want to get into your safe place. And if you have your device, either your cell phone or your iPad, you can watch us live on the Fox 8 Weather app now, or turn your TV up and I will give you the verbal all clear as to what's happening. But again, it looks as though this storm is intensifying. It looks like it is getting stronger now as we are beginning to see more of that rotation that's moving in. So once again, if you live near Stennis, I'll come on out. Morgan Bluff, you're fine. Kill, Mississippi, off to the northeast, you're fine. So this is going to be a trajectory swath coming in right near Stennis over the next 10 to about 15 minutes. What I want to do is now, let's go back full screen if we can and kind of show you what's going on. And it looks as though the storm system is continuing to develop possibly into either a at least straight line wind or a possible development of a tornado. let's show you the path on it and show you where it's going to be going as we go in over the next couple of hours. So we'll draw the path here, we'll bring it on out, and you can see down to the southeast, anywhere near Waveland, those areas here toward Bay St. Louis may be in line over the next hour. So at this point, we're not showing a lot of areas because this is a very rural part of the area from St. Tammany Parish, taking it in toward Pearl River County, just to the east of Pearlington. So once again, if you're in these areas, you may be in a mobile home, you may be in some of the rural areas, now is the time to seek shelter immediately. So once again, this is what we're watching. We are watching a tornado warning that's in effect now just I-59 heading towards Stennis Space Center. That is all moving off to the east and southeast pretty quickly at this time. So once again, if you're in these areas, you need to heed the warning and take shelter immediately. Also, just coming down, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect around Picayune and over toward Nicholson over in Mississippi. So I'll put this in motion for you. And again, you can see that storm system is moving to the south and east, and as it does move southeast, we do have that potential of strong damaging winds, possibility of hail, and once again, we could have a possible tornado on the ground at that point. So this is going to be a situation, more than likely the next 15, 30 minutes, it's going to continue to move southeast toward the Stennis Space Center, and as it does, we're going to have to watch out for the potential of either this weakening or possibly getting a little bit stronger. So at this time, you need to seek shelter immediately. As of this time, it looks as though most of the larger cities should not have an issue at all. However, if you do live around areas near Stennis or down to the southeast of those regions, you may want to definitely get into your safe place now as we are continuing to watch this storm very, very closely. So I'm going to come in now. If we can come on the green wall, I'm back to it now. The computer is back up finally, and you can see coming in right near Nicholson, this is where the severe thunderstorm warning is. And then as we focus in a little bit farther south and west, this is the area that we're going to be watching over the next couple of hours. So once again, very dangerous situation possibly developing. As you can see, the severe thunderstorm warning, Nicholson, just to the southwest of Picayune. You're going to just get clipped on the southern end of that, but the tornado warning is moving much farther south and east. So once again, we're going to have to watch out for the potential of some of those damaging winds, as well as the potential of some of those problems upcoming. So it looks as though this is going to be up until 9:15 this evening. As we focus in, I want to show you what's happening here. All in all, it looks like this storm system is going to continue to develop. In fact, down to the southwest, to rather northwest down to the southeast. Let's pull back on the radar itself, and we can show you once again. Here's what we're looking at. Bay St. Louis, you've been pounded today. Pearlington, heavy rain in your area, and once again near Nicholson, we're seeing some of those heavy storms with that severe thunderstorm warning. Coming back now to base velocity now indicates that has weakened. So this may be just an area where we're seeing kind of a pulse situation going on, where we're seeing anywhere from the winds from ground level up to about 5,000 to 6,000 feet, kind of a rotation, but not really getting its act together. So it could be a funnel at this point, but the good news is that some of those earlier reds have been diminishing, so I'm certainly encouraged about that. But if you live near Nicholson, could see the potential of heavy rain and also the possibility of hail. Let's stop it for you, and we can go back and we can show you what we're looking at in terms of hail itself. Really not seeing a whole lot now. Zooming in toward Nicholson, that area here in pink, that indicates very small hail. More than likely, pea-size hail, really not causing much of a damage. Taking all of the radar echoes off, the orange area, severe thunderstorm warning. Then we see the tornado warning just to the east of Pearl River as that begins to move off to the south and east pretty quickly. So once again, if you're in those areas, Stennis, you need to get into your safe place now. Could see the threat of that coming in. So as I focus in, you can actually see some of the areas we're talking about. This is a very rural area where we're not really seeing much in the way of a lot of at least population, which is good news. However, this is a tornado warning that is in effect all the way through about 9:15 this evening. So coming back, talking about this area here, we've been looking at, over the last 8 to 10 hours, extremely heavy rain coming in around Gulfport into over Mississippi. That has caused up to 5 to easily 10 inches of rain. So with that rain, we have seen very strong gusty winds, Also, we've seen quite a bit of flooding as well, and that has certainly caused a lot of problems over there. And unfortunately, it looks like that may continue as we move in time. So if you are in those areas, I'm going to come back to the radar. If you're in these areas here, you need to seek precautions and make sure that if you're in an area, we need to watch out for the threat near Stennis as it moves off to the east, a little bit wider out. Bay St. Louis, it looks like that may bypass you on the southwestern side. So at this point, it's going to be a situation where we're going to watch this very, very closely. The severe thunderstorm warning, once again, in effect throughout that area, and it looks as though that will continue all the way through about 9:15. We do have the threat of more storms developing later tonight. In fact, you can see them coming in from Tylertown over to Bogalusa. Now, those are not warned. The area within the green does indicate we do have an aerial flood advisory, meaning a lot of street flooding has been ongoing over this area as we've seen all this heavy rainfall developing over the last several hours. So once again, this is a situation that's going to be very, very precarious where we will see a lot of thunderstorm activity and the threat of some of those very, very strong storms. So in the area from Bogalusa down to Gulfport, we're going to be watching all evening long. We're going to stick with you because we do have that threat coming in of that severe weather. So Stennis, if you're in that region, definitely get into your safe place. We'll let you know when it's safe to come out. On top of that, we're going to be watching out for the threat of some of those very strong storms. So focusing in once again very quickly, you can see these areas here. I'll stop it for you. Let's go into the base velocity and see if we see anything. And at this point, I'm really not seeing a whole lot. So as we focus in, these are the areas we would look for in the storm itself. We're not really seeing any reds and yellows coming together. The green, rather, also coming in toward the radar, that would be wind. The yellow box is the severe thunderstorm watch, and areas to the red would be winds coming away. So we're not seeing the green and the reds together where we're seeing major rotation. Now, once again, Slidell radar, very close, so we may be getting some of that contamination around the radar itself. However, as we move northeast, this storm has, at least radar-driven, seen the potential of a possible tornado. And once again, we're looking at that threat farther north. Let's come on back and we can show you what's happening with the hail at this point. As mentioned, we really haven't seen a whole lot. You really need to look close right near Nicholson, Mississippi. Just a little bit of a hail core there, but very minimal, small on the scale, more than likely pea-size, and there is that actual warning itself. So once again, we are looking at a tornado warning that is in effect right now through 9:15, and if you're in the area right near Stennis, you may want to get into your safe place right now. As you can see, Stennis at this time getting some very heavy rain. I'm going to put on lightning as well, and get ready. I mean, we have a ton of lightning. So the lightning counter indicates at this point in this frame itself, this is basically from Pearl River heading over toward Kill, Mississippi, heading south toward Stennis. All this area, we have over 200 lightning strikes. So again, this is a major complex of storms that has been continuing to move from the northwest down to the southeast. So if you live near Stennis, in these areas, you are just seeing and hearing just booms of lightning and thunder. This is a very heavy thunderstorm that will cause quite a bit of flooding very, very quickly. So Stennis, you should be in your safe place. Again, you're right on the cusp of that warning here as that storm moves southeast. But I am encouraged because even though we have that warning out, I just don't see much in the way of any major velocity in terms of any major issue with a developing tornado at all. So we may have some strong winds in this area here, but the storm's moving basically south and east, and it's really not moving in conjunction with the radar. So even though we do have Slidell radar in this area, that's why we're seeing some of these areas here kind of splattered from the radar site because it's so close to the storm. We're really not seeing much in the way of any of rotation or signatures that would indicate the potential of any of that, at least tornadic development, and that is certainly good news. Not going to discount it because even though right now does not seem to be a tornado on the ground, we've got to stick with this because with warnings out, it's our due diligence to let you know what's happening and to stay on the air to help keep you and your family safe. But once again, I'm seeing some encouraging news. I'm really not seeing much in the way of any major rotation at this point. And as we go back, this is the actual radar itself, that storm system. I want to point out here, I'll put this in motion for you. It is moving basically down to the south now, and it's moving at a clip where we are going to see this heavy rainfall, but if it back builds, notice what happens. You get the rain moving south, then you have more rain developing up near Nicholson. And I'll pull out for you again, and when we talk about back building, this is kind of a little education for you, that when storms move from one point to another and they end, basically it's a complex of storms. But when you see storms developing on the back edge of a storm system cluster, well, that's called back building, where we're seeing the storms move south, but more are building on the back end of that storm. So with back building, that's not what you want to see, because that means that even though this may be moving south, passing Picayune in the next 15 to 30 minutes down to Kill and Waveland, this is more developing far north. And just how far north? Well, let's pull the radar out. As you can see, right near the state line, heading in toward Bogalusa. And this is a very active scene with a lot of lightning as well. So these storms have just had a big, powerful oomph to them all day long, with that flooding rain up to 5 to 10 inches, even up to a foot on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And now we're beginning to see that shift a bit farther west into southeast Louisiana, right on the state border of Mississippi, also into Louisiana. So Angie, Varnado, it's beginning to move south of you as far as the heavy rainfall. That severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect, it looks like, let's see, it is still in effect right now, right near Picayune. So that orange box there does indicate in this region here, and I'm going to back the lightning off because there's so much lightning, it's covering the map. This is the area that I want you to see in terms of the dangerous storm. That is a severe thunderstorm warning, and I'll take the lightning counter off right now, and basically you can see that this is the region that we're seeing that back building going on. So the storms are moving south, but we are seeing more developing to the north, all moving in. So we could easily see some flooding from Picayune down to Nicholson, down to Pearl River. Right now, not a lot, but this is all shifting your way. So if you are just to the east of Slidell near Pearl River, we are seeing more on the development and also moving your way. Again, good news on the tornado warning. Even though it is out, I'm just not seeing a whole lot at this point. So we'll come back to our base velocity and we'll slow it down for you. And again, I'm just really not seeing a whole lot. So that's encouraging that this is more than likely some strong straight line winds. Could be a funnel that spins up at times, settles down, maybe spins up again, but I'm not getting really any signature in the complete warning that would indicate we're seeing radar rotation. We're just not seeing those greens and reds clustered anywhere along this warning that would indicate the rotation to and from the radar. So even though we're seeing some of this green, I'm going to focus in and let's actually look at some of the wind speeds that's within this. And you're looking at 30, 17. I mean, really not a whole lot at this point. So again, very encouraged that the wind speeds are really not all that much, where earlier they were, prompting this tornado warning. But for right now, we're looking at winds up to 15 to 30 miles per hour, and at this point, that's kind of it. So once again, we're not going to drop this thing until the Weather Service does. I'm thinking that they may actually drop it early, and we'll see if that does happen. But nevertheless, this is what we're looking for at this point. We are looking at this tornado warning that is in effect. I've turned off the lightning, and also just to the north, this is what we're seeing right now. We're going to be covering this more in just a moment. Fox 8 News at 9 starts right now.
By Stennis, you can see a little bit of shear showing up there. Now, the strongest one is out of the tornado warning, moving to the southeast at 33. Again, Stennis Space Center at about 8 minutes, Pearlington in 23 minutes. And then this one, Stennis in 3 minutes, southeast at 25. So oh wait, look at this, hold on. Now I've got something that's showing up that looks like it's, here, let's clear this out. Okay, I've actually got to come out a little bit wider to get rid of that. Okay. Now let's come in. So I'm seeing something right in here, right along I-10, that looks a little stronger. And that would make sense. So here we are. This is Shuttle Parkway and Point Road right along I-10. That's where you've got the strongest shear showing up right now. That is in the tornado warning, actually just outside of the tornado warning. Now it's moved to the south. But that tornado warning in effect until 9:30. So let's just come out a little bit wider. And we're going to put it into motion. And we're just watching that shear. So the greatest shear was actually on the southern end of this, and it moved out. Okay? Let's look at the radial velocity with this one. And I'm looking at this as you are and analyzing. Perhaps in here, y'all, I have seen much stronger signatures for tornadoes before. This one, thankfully, is not that strong. Right in there, it did look stronger. Right at the end, in this area, outside of that warning area. But what I can tell you is you've got hail with this. You also have very heavy rain with this. Hold on, let me put up the rainfall rate. And I mean, it's significant. We'll pause it. We'll look at that rainfall rate. And it's 7.5 inches. So, I mean, this is kind of crazy. The rainfall rate is, yes, it's very heavy, but you also have hail with it. So that's what I'm seeing when I look at that rainfall rate. We can clear this out. South of Nicholson, that's a dicey looking storm. We put up the radar. And this is very interesting. Do you see what's happening? I'll put it into motion for you. I talk about this pretty often. There's the outflow boundary. So what's happening, you have a significant thunderstorm. It brings in cooler air from aloft. It hits the ground. It spreads out. And it creates this line right here on the radar. That's the cooler air that's moving away from the storm, causes the air to rise, more rain will develop. This is the shelf cloud that you're seeing, or the bow echo that you're seeing at times. It's moving to the west, and as it does, look, see how this rain developed, and then ahead of it, you had more rain developing. Here is another outflow boundary. It's beginning to move into the metro. That's moving to the west. You're probably going to have very strong winds with it, 30, 40 mile per hour winds or so. You'll feel that brief cool down, and then it's going to cause more rain to develop. So let's get rid of that. Come out a little wider. We have, for mariners, special marine warnings all along the coast. So, I mean, it's just dicey at this time. Look at how the rain is lined up. So here's my concern. Besides the risk that you could have a tornado, very heavy rain. So what we have occurring now is training. Look, I'm going to pause this. We're going to put this into motion, just into play. There you are. Wanted to get it in a good place so I could draw this. So here we are. Here is one line right here. It's kind of like the railroad tracks. Now I'm going to put it into motion, go for an hour, and you can see how that rain is basically moving across the same area. And when that happens, you can have flooding. And we already have the flood advisories in effect for portions of the Mississippi coast. Now they've been extended into St. Tammany, also into the extreme eastern portion of Orleans Parish. So this is our concern for tonight. That's why we've got the flash flood watch and also that severe thunderstorm watch. Let's clear this out. And we're just going to investigate the different storms because we have so much going on. So we're going first to the North Shore, right over here. Washington Parish, Franklinton, you've got a strong storm moving your way right here at Bogalusa. Poplarville, it's on top of you. Let's pause these for a motion, and we're just going to investigate them. So here's the storm that's in Franklinton. Clifton, it's going to be there in 16 minutes. Severe hail risk, 80%. The size of the hail, 2 inches. I know, right? This damages your cars. It can damage, your rooftops. I'm trying to get rid of that. Okay, so that's Franklinton. And then you've got this storm right here at Bogalusa. It's moving towards Bush. Let's investigate it. So sun in 14 minutes, Talashiq in 29, hail 100%. The risk for severe hail is lower. So expect hail with that storm, but it doesn't look like it's severe, at least yet, but you do have one north of you that does look like it's severe hail. Right here by Poplarville, you've got a strong storm. This one moving southeast at 26, hail 20%, so that's not bad. But you will get locally heavy rain with that one, so you're going to have to watch for it. And we'll get rid of that. Okay, now we want to come down here. Of course, this is where we've got our tornado. What you're seeing with it is significant rainfall. I mean, it is coming down. That's the main thing. So this storm, again, heading towards Stennis and Pearlington, 22 minutes, moving southeast now, 31 miles per hour. Its indicator for a tornado is not that high, actually. Let's look again at that radial velocity. This is the storm radial velocity, and it looks a little bit more significant now. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Now I'm going to put up, I want to see, here we are, the Barron button with this. So it's really showing more hail with this Barron button, not really showing the tornado, which we've talked about. The rainfall rate is, of course, significant. We were seeing that at about 7.5 inches. And what that's telling you is that you've got hail. We then put up the hail, and there is the hail. So all along here, you have got that risk for hail. And then you can put up the rainfall totals just to give you an idea. And yes, we are getting significant rain on the order of 3.5 inches. Over here by Slidell, it's not bad. You can see how this is progressing to the west and how in time it's going to be adding up because, look, let's put the radar in. You've just got line of rain and storms after another that are lining up, that are moving to the southeast. Want to put the Barron button up just to investigate these other storms, and they're really pretty much all showing hail as the big factor. So we put up the radar. There is the line that extends from Washington through St. Tammany, Pearl River, into coastal St. Bernard, and then well offshore. Special marine warnings all along the coast. Mississippi Gulf Coast, Louisiana coast, St. Bernard, Plaquemines. You do not want to be offshore right now, especially, wait, when you put in all of the lightning. And the lightning counter now at about 1,400 strikes in 15 minutes with this entire line. But wait, look at this. The most significant lightning is with this storm. And that's 1,100 strikes in 15 minutes. When you have a storm like this, it is chaos. So that's a big concern. Let me just grab this for some reason. If I could have an engineer in here to fix our Licks chat, that would be good. So I'm just checking. Flash flood warning, yeah, this is what we've been talking about. For Southeast St. Tammany, for Hancock, for Pearl River, 1.5 to 3.5 inches an hour. Flash flooding is expected to begin momentarily. So, you know, that's what we were talking about, is how much rain they're actually getting and what a significant storm it is with all of this lightning. I had texted my husband earlier, give Blue his pill, because Blue is terrified of this thunder, and we certainly do have significant thunder at this time. So the severe thunderstorm watch, we have to turn the lightning off because you can't even see where this tornado warning is. So let me just investigate this. This is the severe thunderstorm watch. We're looking at the storm relative velocity. This is the storm that we're watching, southeast at 26, Pearl River in 8 minutes, Davis Landing 17 minutes. This is a rough storm at this time. We can move this out of the way and get rid of that, and let's clear this out as well. So we're going to put in the shear. There's our tornado warning, and you know, it's just a rough go at this point. So we're zooming in. We're going to look at the storm radial velocity. It's not clear. It has not been clear. We're looking at the velocity, and we're looking at the shear, strongest down here. Almost need the Barron button, and it's truly just indicating hail with this storm. So there it is, the tornado warning in effect until 9:30 for Hancock and into St. Tammany, and that's in effect until 9:30. There's your rainfall rate coming in at 7 inches, and that's an indicator of hail. And then we can also check the storm radial velocity and the velocity. Bon, if we could have someone call over in St. Tammany and in Hancock County and see if they're getting any reports of anything, that would be helpful. And then we can also check out the future scan just to give you an idea of how it's going to be moving. And that's going to be heading to the southeast. See how it's moving more to the west. Let's go more. Let's go an hour. So this is our future scan, which takes it to the southeast and then builds it to the west, giving you an idea of what's going to be happening with this storm. And then there's the radar right now. With the outflow, look at that. I really find it fascinating to watch this. So you see the outflow boundary move west and then the rain kick up. So right now in Covington, you've got a storm that's fired up. Bush, look at how you had no rain, the outflow boundary moved through, and now you've got storms. We can put in that lightning, and you're going to have a whole lot of lightning there as well. And notice how all of this rain is just moving pretty much over the same location, Washington Parish, St. Tammany, into Pearl River, St. Bernard. Now it's on top of you. Look at how much lightning this is. It's just wild. Over 2,000 strikes occurring with this particular storm. And when it increases like that, it lets you know it's an intensifying storm, that this is a dangerous storm. And while I haven't seen the tornado indicators as much, I have seen a whole lot of lightning, large hail, very heavy rain. And the problem is that this rain is training over the same area. So that's our concern. You can see it all the way from near Macomb through Washington, St. Tammany, moving over Hancock into now St. Bernard, heading offshore. Again, a big issue for mariners. There is the flood advisory, and the outflow boundaries moving to the west, and that is indicating that, you know what, we have got some pretty strong storms now beginning to develop right over Washington Parish and St. Tammany. So we're going to investigate these. There is the storm that is over Franklinton right now, extending north of Clifton, over Franklinton, southeast at 20. Severe hail, now it's not bullish on that, and the hail size has indeed come down, so that is good news. Glad to see that. We can X that out as that storm moves to the southeast. Then we've got another one. Let's investigate it. It's over Waldheim in 15 minutes, southeast at 17. Hail, 90% chance. Large hail is coming in at about 40%, so that's good. Now we have a special marine warning in effect for the lake, and it's for this outflow boundary right here. So I'll draw this in. Here's the outflow boundary. This is going to be crossing the causeway. When it crosses the causeway, you're going to have strong gusty winds coming at you from the east, moving to the west. Could be 30, 40, 50 miles per hour. And that's probably one reason why they have issued that special marine warning. Plus, you've got these storms that are going to be moving in. So that's what we're watching now. And then we come into the metro. Here comes the outflow boundary that's pushing across the city. Let's put this into motion. And the good news is I have not seen rain developing right on this western side. So let's pause this now. So that's good. We've only got scattered rain that's moving into the metro. It does not look as bad. But over here for the Wrigley's, all along the Mississippi coast, Waveland to Slidell, that is serious rain. That is very heavy rain that is occurring. So let me just put in our velocity again. Here we are. There is the tornado warning that's in effect until 9:30. We've got so many warnings going on. Look at that. I-12 at I-10, that's all of the lightning. It's like the street lights are flashing off and on. Wait, let me just put the radar up. We're going to put up the lightning counter. Now, over 1,000 lightning strikes in 15 minutes with that one storm. It looks like you're in a disco, right? With the lights flashing on and off. I would hate to be driving in that. Very heavy rainfall rate of 7 inches an hour. You also have large hail risk with this as people are driving across that area. So this is I-10 right here and I-55 to the west, I-59. This is where we're getting that lightning show taking place. I can only imagine what it looks like on my Twitter feed. If you could send something, that would be great. Also, I need some help with my Licks chat. If we could get an engineer in here. I'm having to